This is you. You're a potato. Your company is a potato. Your product is a potato. Just go. You want your prospects to come and eat your potato, to buy your potato, to book a meeting to discuss potatoes, watch a demo or presentation of your potato. Problem? All of your customers are very different. They're all hungry at different times. They like their potatoes cooked in a special way. The same way that some people like their potatoes mashed and others like them in French fries, your prospects might prefer getting kept on email, LinkedIn. They might hate cold calls. They might love voicemails. They might be eating avocados. They're happy with their avocado. They don't know any better. Already got a solution in place. They're also being bombarded by people trying to sell them peppers, carrots, and onions. Commit to the bet well. Some might have a starch allergy and never ever want to eat your potato. So if you're only reaching out for them with one potato, one time, cooked in one way, you're gonna miss out on opportunities. That, most of the time, just isn't gonna be enough to get them interested in your potato. You're gonna need to hit them with the potato multiple times, serving up in different ways to try and catch their attention, to give yourself the best chance of cutting through all the noise, getting them to book that meeting with your potato. And that right there is exactly why we need sales sequences, otherwise known as cadences, to give ourselves multiple chances of getting through to our buyers in the right way, at the right time, the right message, and the right channel. Potatoes. It just makes sense. So how long should your sales sequences be? Well, we've found the best performing sequences are more like a kit exercise. A short sprint over a short period of time. 10 to 20 touch points over a 2 to 4 week period. In that time, you're going to get noticed, you're going to get seen, and if they don't respond, then you can move on. Now, you might also have a couple of different sequences depending on the lead. Inbound leads, nurture leads, high intent leads, content downloads, past customers that churn. But for this video, we're going to be focused on the most common sequence, a cold outbound sales cadence that's going to try and book you a meeting with a prospect who's not heard of you before. Now, before you start your sequence, you're going to want a nice clean list, and you're going to want to segment those lists into similar prospects who might be all facing the same challenge that you solve. Let's say I'm selling Lavender.ai, AI email assistant that helps sellers write better emails and get more replies. Sign up for free using the link in the description below. Well, if my data is good, then what I can do is bucket my prospects into common traits. Let's say this segment is VPs of sales at growing tech companies with between 100 and 500 employees who currently use Salesloft or Outreach. Not fair for me to assume that all of these folks might be facing a similar problem, and therefore I can hit them with very similar messaging and reduce the amount of work and time and effort and research I'm going to have to do to target these folks with effective outbound outreach. And that's going to save me a ton of time researching each and every one of them individually, trying to find a reason to reach out. So what are the different channels or methods of sales outreach that you can use in a sequence? Every industry, company size, and customer is going to be slightly more or less receptive to the different outreach channels, but the traditional ones you're going to see are emails, fries, cold calls, smashed potato, voicemails, hash brown, social media, crisscross fries, videos, smiley faces. And there's a whole other category of kind of like more obscure ones that aren't used as often: FaceTimes, WhatsApp, text messaging, cold calendar invites, roast potatoes, because I ran out of ideas for potato dishes. So when you blend all of these channels together, what you get is a sales sequence. To booking meetings and exceeding quota. Cheers. You've decided how long your sequence is going to be. You've identified and built a list of similar prospects you can target with similar messaging. Now, what steps are you actually going to use to reach out to them? And in what order? Well, here is our official Lavender approved outbound sales sequence.
Day 1, step 1, a cold call.
I like to start with a cold call because if you can get a prospect on the phone and have a conversation with them, it's very quick to establish if they're a fit or if they're not a fit. All that could mean is I can book a meeting or disqualify the prospect in the very first step of the sequence and save myself doing all the remaining steps. I actually did a video on cold calling at my last job at SalesSpeed. I'll leave a link to the video in the card and in the description of this video. Go check that out. It's a good one.
Day 1, step 2, a voicemail.
If your prospect doesn't pick up your cold call, you can leave them a voicemail. The mistake a lot of sellers make when leaving a voicemail is asking for a callback. Hey, it's Will Aiken here. Sorry I missed ya. Can you give me a call back on 902-916-2211? Waste of your time. Instead, say something like this. Hey, it's Will Aiken from Lavender. Don't worry about calling me back. I'm going to drop you an email with what this is regarding. Look out for it. It's going to be coming from will.aiken@lavender.ai. What that's going to do is direct them to your first email and increase the open rate on that email, even if it ends up going to spam.
Day 1, step 3, an email.
Now, we did a whole video on cold emails. If you want to check it out, it's on the card and in the description again. But for this first touch cold email, I like to use a very similar framework for every email. Start by observing something about your prospect or their business. Then move on to a challenge related to the observation. Share a story of how other customers like them are solving that problem with your solution. And then finish off with a CTA, a question they can reply to.
Day 3, step 4, a social media engagement.
Before I send someone a connection request, I'm always going to want to engage with one of their social posts. I'm going to comment on it. I'm going to add some of my own insights or ask them a question about their post. I want them to be more familiar with my name by the time I reach out.
Day 3, step 5, a connection, follow, or friend request.
Hot take, I don't leave a note in the request. The reason being, adding a note gives them an excellent reason why not to connect with you. So unless you have something very, very thoughtful to add, leave the note blank and your connection accept rate will go up.
Day 3, step 6, a cold call. Day 5, step 7, an email with a video.
In the same thread as your first email, you're going to respond to that email. This is where a lot of sellers make a mistake in their follow-up. They say things like thoughts or bubbling this to the top of your inbox or did you have a chance to read my last email? It's both annoying and a little bit lazy. Instead, use the opportunity to highlight another challenge they might be facing. Restate the context for why it is you're reaching out. Seek to clarify, this is what we do, why that's important to them, and then of course, end with a CTA. Then, you insert the thumbnail, the GIF from your video platform, and the link to your video. And in that video, you just restate what you said, but also show a little bit of your solution or your presentation or your service or a case study. The video will serve as a can interrupt because not many people send videos, but it'll also give you a chance to show them that you're human and let your personality shine. And although links and images and emails can often send your email to spam, because it's a follow-up email, as long as the first email got delivered, this one likely will too.
Day 7, step 8, a social media engagement.
Again, comment or like on your prospect's comment or post. Wherever you feel like your prospect is most active is the best place to get them.
Day 7, step 9, a social media message.
For this, we can use a very similar framework to the one that we used for the cold email. But there are a couple of considerations that apply to social media that don't apply to emails. You see, most social media platforms operate more like a chat platform, like a text message, rather than an email. What this ultimately means is less space and different social norms. So drop your greeting, drop all the formats in, keep your message hyper short, use more casual or conversational tones, and don't sign off with your name. Your profile's right there. If they want to learn more about you and where you work, they can click on it.
Day 9, step 10, an email.
So this is where we might try to add value. Share some content or metrics that your prospect will find helpful, humorous, or interesting. Now, the mistake a lot of sellers make at this stage is they share their own company's content. The problem with that, most marketing teams make content. It's self-serving, fluffy, and biased. And even if your company makes incredible content, that's what your buyers are going to think. So as a pattern interrupt, you might try this instead. Find a trusted, quality, third-party, unbiased resource and send that to the prospect. It could be a blog article, a research paper, a YouTube video, or a LinkedIn post. Secondly, explain why they should read it. This, again, can be focused on the challenge that you think they might be experiencing. And as an optional step, you can nod back to one of the previous emails that you sent them.
Day 10, step 11, a cold call. Day 10, step 12, a voicemail.
Although in this one, you can be a little more direct and use the same framework that you used in the email before. Observation, problem, story, CTA. I've been talking to people like you who have been experiencing observation. They've been telling me this challenge is a real problem for them right now. A lot of them are looking to us to help solve that. Send you a few emails already. Let me know if this is interesting to you.
Day 13, step 13, a social media message with a video or a voice note.
Now in that voice note, in that video, you might just say the same thing as what I just said in that voicemail there, but what you're trying to do is show that you're a human being and that you're not automating everything. Pro tip, when you send a video or voice note, whatever it is, make sure to include a quick note regarding what this message is about. That's a little teaser that will then cause them to click the video, listen to the voice note, whatever it may be.
Day 15, step 14, a cold call. And finally, day 15, step 15, an email.
You've failed to get a reply. This is one last Hail Mary to try and generate a response. To close the door on this prospect, you might want to send a breakup email. Thing is, a lot of sellers get these very wrong. They do these corny emails where they're like, hey, this will be the last you hear from me, or I've got to assume you got eaten by a crocodile. Don't like that. Instead, try this framework. State that you've been reaching out. Explain why you've been reaching out. Assume that your timing is off. Ask them to correct you, and then clarify that this is the last email that you'll be sending for now. Remember, it's not goodbye forever, it's bye for now. Boom! And there you have it. 16 different touches across 2 weeks. If none of this resonated, then it's time to lay low for a little while. Leave them alone. We're looking to book meetings, don't get restraining orders, remember. Either have your marketing team nurture them, or start targeting a different contact potentially from a different department at their company. Let them cool off for 2 or 3 months and then retarget them with a new sequence that has different messaging, uses different observations, and highlights different challenges. Potatoes. It's that simple. Comment your questions, drop a like on the video, subscribe, and try Lavender.